I see. It's just you and me, CIA. That's understandable. I assume you listened to the story time. That shit was a pain in my ass to write and perform, specifically to perform. I did not like it, to be honest. uh Hey everybody. What I'm going to try and do right now is stream while I guess it might be better if I can somehow show you guys what I'm doing. This probably isn't very interesting for anyone else. I just thought it'd be nice for me to have something to do. NPR hours? Yeah. I don't know. Well, it's like I tried to say it. That's interesting. Now that makes me think I should have put like 9 Inch Nails shit over it, you know? Like uh like pretty dun, dun, dun. Damn, now I'm thinking of it. I absolutely should have done like sound design over it. So I got a new module for my Eurorack case. Ugh, it's gonna fall. This is my Eurorack case. I had a Laquelic iteratus Perquito in here in this really small case. The Laquelic is like, God, how big is it? It's like 22. I think it's like 22 HP. It's really big. And so I thought I could. It's also really not very playable as a voice. I mean, it's awesome, but it's more of a sound design piece. It's like it makes sounds that sound like everything from a 303, like a cool like acidy bass tone to like screeching static. And there's a lot of options in between, and there's a lot of ways you can make it sound like absolute shit on accident. So, you know, if you want to record something, it's super cool. But trying to get it to behave with pitch, um, trying to get it to behave with really anything else, was just kind of pretty difficult and not really worth the 20 HP it was taking of this 60 HP case. So now I have decided what I think I'm going to do is replace it with the Qubit Surface, which is maybe I'll try and get this a little closer. Which is a physical modeling voice, meaning that uh, I mean, I guess the concept is that it mimics the sounds of like some sort of physical surface. It's called a surface. And so the idea is that you know, you can make it sound like the skin of a drum or some sort of like liquid sound. Um, and so it's fun for that reason, and it sounds crazy. Normally I would have gone to my local synthesizer store and um, been able to play around with one, decide if I really like the sound. Is it going to work in my case with the type of things that I already have in there, the type of modulation and the type of whatever. But as we all know, it's COVID time, babies. So I had to sort of just watch a bunch of YouTube videos and hope that it's going to sound good. So, on top of this, I can also now, because I'm saving so much space with the Laquelic out of the way, I can also fit, what do I have? I think 13, or no, 11 more HP that I didn't have before, even with this surface. So I was like, well, one thing I really want is an ADSR module, which I have. I already had that, but it wasn't in this little case because I was having, the thing about it is this, I'm sure this is very boring for anybody who doesn't know anything about synthesizers. So please feel free to ask questions about my story time video, about literally anything you want to talk about party building. I was just getting into, shit on Twitter about that. If you want to talk about politics, we can talk about politics. But I'm just going to keep talking about synthesizers until until anyone tells me different. I already had an ADSR module called the Contour, which is basically one half of the a maths. Basically, it's kind of like a maths. Or no, I'm thinking of something else. But it does have like slope control, and can invert that slope. But it's designed to basically be an ADSR, which I already had lying around, so that will fit. That's only 8. So now I have 3 HP left over. But I'm not going to be able to fit anything in there because I don't have any more power left over. Anyway, someone said, thoughts on the PSL? So my feeling on the PSL is that they, at least in my chapter, in my city, in Brooklyn, have the most correct lines, right? Like they want to be the vanguard party, right? Problem is that they don't be the vanguard party. They, as far as I know, no matter how much I pestered them, how much I went to meetings, how much I, talked to them, I've said this on Twitter before. Like I've tried to join the PSL for like multiple years. I don't know if it's exactly. I don't want to talk shit on the PSL because I think everyone I've ever met who's in the PSL has been super nice. And maybe I'm just a bitch. Maybe they just don't like me. I don't know. Which is fine. You don't have to like me. I don't have to be involved in your organization. But I think I'm pretty obviously not a cop. I think I had enough conversations, and it did get to a point where after almost a year of going to meetings, they sort of were like, hey, would you like to be, go through the process or whatever. I was like, yeah, I've said many times I'd like to go through the process. And they're like, okay, well, we'll reach out to you. And I was like, okay, well, whose phone number should I have if they don't? Like, it's just like, it's very disorganized. And the whole point of a party is to be organized. Um, and if you can't, if you can't get somebody like me who's putting a lot of energy into, trying to support you, coming to the protests, coming to the, you know, coming to the meetings, like coming to your, I don't want to, again, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but to your lame ass, like open mics, like I'm just trying to get to know people. I'm trying to get to know other communists, but, uh, you know, I don't. It is about PSL. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to talk shit. Everyone I've ever met in the PSL has been super nice, and good, um, and has a very have very good opinions. But there's just like just the chat. I'm half. I was half watching someone else's stream. Oh shit. Hang on a second. Yes, all of you guys are right. It's it is incredibly important that if you can't organize, I'm going to be a little skeptical of your ability to, like, if you can't get people to join your party. And here's the thing, I think that the PSL is a Leninist party, um, and that they seem to believe, as I believe, that not everyone needs to be in the party, right? Like, not the entirety of America is going to be in the party. But the people who will help you, you need to let in and work on what your project is. And the problem is that they're just so underfunded and so disorganized, and that people like me, who I think I'm a uh, I 30 people are watching this right now. I'm not a celebrity. But I think people are interested in what I have to say sometimes, and I think I would be a help to get people involved with a party. And this is my whole thing. This is the whole thing with the Belden program, which I think he is probably doesn't give a shit what I think about it, but you can't build a party without media. I think a lot of people are starting from the wrong place. You can't change the space until you have a superstructure shift. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I think I'm an okay propagandist. The Belden program is real. I mean, the idea is that if you are in a position of reaching people, you should be using it to build a party. The gray zone is cool. I mean, well, this is the thing. I mean, if you listened to my podcast on what is to be done, did I talk about this on stream already? Um, what's the Justin from Proles position? I don't remember. Isn't he the one who's canceled or whatever because he wanted to start a brewery? Um, I don't remember what. Sorry. I mean, I love all of those guys, especially Ethan. Um, really smart people. But that was pretty funny. Um, I don't know what was going on. I didn't actually read the whole thing. Anyway, my point is that I think that trying to locally organize with no other um, outside influence or communication is a losing fucking battle, especially in a city like New York. Like, you've got to have people. This is what I think. And this is what Brace is talking about. I think, he has been talking a little bit about it on his show and a little bit on the most illuminating one is he went on the Antifada with Sean. Um, and I think Andy was on that episode too. Didn't talk that much. Um, and talked about how, look, if we're going to be having hundreds of thousands of people listening to our shows, and obviously I'm a mid-tier show, right? Like I feel everyone feels weird talking about this because it's like everyone feels a little narcissistic and no one wants to be perceived as a media, you know, careerist, right? Like no one wants to, yes, a mids tier. Um, Nobody wants to be perceived as somebody who's like, look at me, pay attention to me, I matter. But Brace's point is they're going to say that anyway. Like the point is that they're always saying, well, what do you do? What do you fucking do? You know, you're talking shit on the Democrats, you're talking shit on the liberals, you're talking shit on everybody. Well, what do you do? And podcast's answer is the same thing that I've been saying the whole time, which is they've been sort of brain poisoned by Jon Stewart saying like, "Oh, we're fucking actually just comedians." And we don't actually matter. You can't listen to us. We're just entertainment. Bullshit. You're not just entertainment. And you know, I think lots of people since I've been saying this have been changing their tune, and I'm not calling out anyone specifically. Why would I do that? I'm friends with most of them, or at least acquaintances. And I think a lot of them are nice people. But, you know, I think we have to recognize that if we're going to be people with large followings, people who have, people who care, who are radicalized. We are out here radicalizing people. Like I've said this before on the stream. People have DM'd me personally and said, you are responsible for radicalizing me, that I'm a communist now because of you. That's an insane responsibility. And I think the sort of maybe, the human response to that is like, yeek, like that's a lot of pressure um on me. And they shy away from that. They don't want to have that pressure on them. What am I making? Yeah. Um it's a little, I mean, BreadTube is a mess. Most of those people are libs. Sorry. Fucking ContraPoints, come at me, bitch. Like, I don't care. Like you're a fucking liberal, and that's fine. BreadTube is like the very loose network of people who are on the left uh on YouTube. It comes from the fucking uh, Kropotkin book, Conquest of Bread, which is, don't read the bread book. Um, as I always said, read fucking Lenin. Um, the serfs especially came at me one time. Um, got in a big argument with them. I was disappointed because I thought that they were nice. Um, I guess Vosh is BreadTube. Uh, anybody who's like nominally quote unquote on the left. But most of the people who are quote unquote bread tube or get lumped into that are 100% liberals. Like Harrison is a guy, I love his videos. He makes 3 hour long documentaries about shit. But as far as I can tell, he's barely political. Like he's like, there was a period from 2016 to fucking what am I doing? There's a period from like 2016 to now where if you were anti-Trump, people thought you were on the left or whatever. And we're seeing that now. I've heard that I've heard that anecdote where Lennon was like, "Please, bro, this is cringe. Please stop roasting cringe. I love you." uh I mean, who the bread book is whatever. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing interesting in it. Maybe it's like I think it starts you off on a bad path. If it's the first thing you read because it's easier to read, um, I think it starts you off on a path because like the whole ending is about how like, but just know that actually communism is bad. Like doing communism is the wrong thing. We need to do something else. Um, and I don't think that's a good thing to start with. Um, honestly, if you consider, if you're like, I don't know what I am, I'm apolitical, or you have a friend like that, definitely show them like a good YouTube or a podcast. Show them a good podcast before you tell them to read a fucking book that they're not gonna like. They're gonna have to read multiple Wikipedia pages um, to get anything out of. What was I saying about party building? I've talked about on the Pod Damn America episode with Brett from Rev Left. Uh, and I was really struck by rereading that and remembering that that whole end is about how, you know, the the party, according to Lenin, the party springs out of the newspaper. The the media is what educates and sparks a fire, and then gets people to understand the ideological position that we're in. Um, and that is the intelligentsia who is running that stuff. And he, yes, Marx Madness is good. And if you have people sitting around thinking about, okay, this is what has to be done in this day and age, and then telling people this is what has to be done. This is what we're working with. These are the issues. These are the problems. These are the possibilities. Um, and then broadcasting that under the not just as entertainment. Like I don't think Beep Beep is this, right? Like I don't think this stream is this. I'm talking about organized among the people in the media, an outlet that can reach the very most people as it could possibly reach, and everybody sort of being on the same page and saying, this is what we should do this month, this year. These are our plans. Not just news, not just commentary on the shit that's happening, not or talking about them if they're trying to fuck us up or whatever, but like taking a material analysis of the situation we're in on a week to week basis, possibly a daily basis, and publishing that to the most amount of people, not barring stuff behind a paywall. Maybe you can make money off of it. I don't give a shit if it helps you keep it going. But I don't think Beep Beep does do that. And I mean, we aren't like, we're not an extension of a party, and we don't have the reach. I'm out of screws. Oh, I added a module. Fucking fool. And I mean, I'd love to be a part of that, but I don't, obviously, like, I think Matt and Brace are sort of poised to be that. And I mean, maybe anybody could, get it going. Maybe they don't want to, but Brace wants to. I'm not sure what's stopping him. He's probably got lots of plans. He's got the Belden program is going, and I mean, I would be lucky to be involved, like, because Brace is a Leninist, and he looks at this and says, okay, we have all of this influence and all of this, all of these people listening to us, and they're telling us, what do I do? And we have to be able to say, well, here's what we do, all of us. If I can help with that, I'd love to help with that. I'd love to talk with him about it. But, he's a busy guy. It's not, it's whatever. I just think that that's what's going to, I think he's right. His assessment of what has to happen is correct. And it doesn't necessarily have to be me. It doesn't have to be Chapo. It doesn't have to be Brace himself. But it's going to be somebody. If it's going to happen, it's going to have to be someone with a platform that can start reaching a lot of people who pay attention to it, who say, oh, I can do that. Oh, I don't have to like go to an awkward meeting. Like, we're all already on the same page because we all listen to the same show or watch the same YouTube. And we can say, okay, let's organize in our city around labor. Oh, what are you guys talking about? Sorry, it's chat. The chat is crazy right now. Well, that's why you're reading Wretched of the Earth on ASMR YouTube? That's crazy. You should link that. I don't like ASMR, but you feel free to link that. Yeah, people literally learn theory through podcasts, and that's okay. It's totally normal. It's normal. Um but it's not just reading, that's sort of, I'm saying that it's about it's a push and pull, right? Lenin talks about it's not about going and telling people what to do, right? You have to also, on a local level, be talking to working people. These same people that I'm talking about, whoever is having this sort of uh, influence, right, would also have to be having like communication with Uber driver unions, gig workers unions, teachers unions, and being like, what do you need from us? What can we broadcast out? And like, what kind of organization can we help build? Farmers, uh, coal miners, whoever is, whatever we decide is like the most revolutionary potential. And then say, what are we doing? Sure, I'll give you a module rundown. I think everything's back in here. Okay. So this is an IntelliGel palette case. We've got start on this side. This is a Memetic Digitalis by Noise Engineering. It's a sequencer. It's a really small but incredibly effective sequencer. Super fun, especially to use with the Steppy from IntelliGel, which is it's a step sequencer. It's like a step triggerer. It doesn't really do notes, but mixing these together is awesome. This is a quantizer, a pico quantizer. Keeps things in tune. This is the new module I got. It is this one. It is a Surface by Qubit. It's a physical modeling voice, which is I can't wait to. I replaced the Laquelic from Noise Engineering. And this is a Contour from Make Noise. It is an ADSR module. So I'm going to put that in this low pass gate right here so it makes it sound good. This is a Euclid, a Euclidean step module so that I can sort of make different syncopated rhythms by 2HP. This is a Clep Diaz by Noise Engineering. It's sort of a weird stepping LFO. Watch a video on this one. This one's complicated. It's really cool though. This is a chainsaw from Acid Rain. It gives you good like super saw OPN kind of sounds. It's a voice. It's a like a 21 voice digital synthesizer. Crazy. You can do chords with it in this tiny box. And then a low pass filter, and then a Mannequin Sisters, which is it's like 3 filters in one, and they're all sort of related to each other. And then in Endorphins, Milky Way, which is an effects module, sort of a bunch of different effects at the same time. And it's all a little baby. And I can take this, I can plug it, I can, what I like to do is plug it into my Digitact and sort of use the Digitact for the drums and then the modular for the voices. But that's what it is. So I'll probably continue to set this up and then hopefully play a little bit before I go. Who were you saying is a letdown? Oh, ContraPoints. Yep. I mean, this is the thing. Like, I think what we're seeing is that it was really easy. It's really easy in America to put on the clothing of a radical leftist, right? Even the language we use is wishy-washy. The concept is, if you're opposed to the Republican Party, you're on the left. And this is still this is still ways that we talk about this. Even fucking today, people won't let go of the word leftist because they're afraid of fucking, I don't know, offending the anarchists, I guess. But I mean, come on. Progressive is even, I mean, that's just liberal. That's liberal bullshit. Disregard that, Frank. That's liberal bullshit. How do I get emotes? We should have some good emotes. There's enough of you here that I feel like some emotes would be fun, right? Um, I don't know how Twitch works. The media doesn't even know how it works. Um, Progressives are not communists. Here's the thing. You're a communist or you're a fucking capitalist. That's it. Everything else is tendency, and tendency is bullshit. Sorry. Like, if you want to talk about like if you're in America and you want to talk about, oh, we don't want people to have too much power. We don't want people to be Stalinists. We don't want people to be tankies. Well, then you're just saying you don't want power. You don't have anything right now. Being suspicious of anybody gaining power is pro-capitalist. If you are looking at a communist project and you're saying that looks dangerous to me, then you're a fucking liberal. Sorry. Right now, the only thing to do is to build up power on an anti-capitalist communist project. You know, the actual idea of anarchism, in what you say, oh, we want to have spontaneity. You want to have, yeah, of course you didn't fucking the NED. You're the CIA. um, you know, Anarchism is not bad in terms of idealism, right? Wanting a utopian future where there doesn't have to be bureaucracy is the point of communism. And I do think that anarchists, you know, like have a point that there needs to be uh making sure that we don't have uh too much consolidation of power afterwards, and that there's a point to them. I mean, this is the thing. There's no there's no fucking boot to lick. I would love to lick Lenin's boots or whatever. The point. This is the thing. These are people who haven't read anything. These are people, and it's like, I'm not saying everyone needs to read anything, but genocide deniers. That's funny. You know, these are people who don't understand that the point of a state is oppression, and we want to be the oppressors, right? Like, that's what communism is. It is taking the mechanism of the state and then using it to oppress the ruling class. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, George Soros, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell. Those people need to be oppressed. And how are you going to oppress them if you don't have a fucking state? A state is the mechanism to oppress them. Communists want to oppress people. We want to stop oppressing the working class, the average everyday people of America. And we want to oppress the freaks who have stolen all of the resources and money and take it back. It's not fucking complicated. It really isn't that complicated. But you have to remove the propagandists from your head that says doing anything is hurting other people, or you have to tiptoe around, liberals' feelings. I mean, I don't know. I would really love someone to argue with me on this because I feel like there's no other way to think about it. I don't even understand the position. Like, are you saying that you don't want to take power in case somebody is mean? And it's like the anarchist concept of like spontaneity. How does that stop people from doing Stalinism? Like, it, okay, what at what point? Well, but that's what I mean. All hierarchies are bastards. Sure, okay. Let's say you believe that. At what point are you able to remove somebody who's taking power? Right? Like like if you understand that power vacuums get created if you destroy the state, even if you destroy your local fucking, I mean, look at the Chaz, right? The if you've got people who are just like, we have guns now, it really doesn't matter what their fucking politics are. If you haven't like created a group of people, if you haven't educated everyone to understand what the project is, anybody who have guns can come in and take over your shit. And they're the ruling class now. That's how fucking military coups happen. Right? So you have to have the scaffolding of a structure of a party that has is working within our hierarchical world to be like, okay, we all trust this person to lead and we all trust them to make good decisions about who's going to do the project, and the project is this, and we've all agreed on this, and we're all working in camaraderie to get the project done. And if someone starts being like, bah, I don't actually care about the project, I'm all for my personal gain, and they're found out, then we have mechanisms within that scaffolding to remove them because they are accountable to the people. Well, yeah, but then what is destroying the state? It's not like even if we destroy, even if you could somehow snap your fingers Thanos style and kill every single senator and cop on the planet or in America, you still have China to deal with. You still have Russia to deal with. There's not like a power vacuum will happen. And whoever has created the bones of like being able to be like, look at all that resources and nukes that you have. If nobody is trying to like control that stuff, they'll just get taken by someone else. We live in a world. Like, you can't just be like, well, there's imaginary boundaries around our world. Fucking Justin Trudeau will be like, okay, everybody, I get that you didn't want those neoliberals here, but I'm actually also a socialist. And, you know, like, come on now. Don't be ridiculous. You've got to have a communist structure to fill the bone, to fill the skin, to fill the machinations of the state and oppress the right people, the ruling class. How do you dismantle the CIA? I don't think I'm allowed to talk about that on the stream. Um, the CIA is a state, right? I mean, the CIA is the state. You have to capture the state. Their organization is the state. All of those people need to be gone. But I think my point with that episode um, wasn't simply that is that there is an organization and it's not that many people. Do you know what I mean? Like, the army doesn't give a shit about the CIA. Like, the CIA hasn't made like great inroads with everybody else. I think that what I'm saying is like like any other state, they're just people. And I think that, you can think of this. I'm just saying the whole point of the podcast was that, like, people think of AOC as the state. People think of Joe Biden as the state. And, my point is that even if you could snap your fingers and kill every senator and every president, you'd still have the structure of the state and all of the people who run it. So what's important is to know who our targets are. Who are, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to get in trouble. I'm trying who the yes, who the people that hold the actual levers of power of the state are. It's important to recognize that. And those people, you probably don't know their names, but it's imperative that as we build up the party, we do things more and more and I mean, look, I haven't I'm not the leader of a party, but if it was up to me, I would say that, like, look at what, like, any sort of successful communist uprising has been hurting those people where they live through um, labor unions, removing their sources of power, and uh, uh, that might mean organizing drug trafficking workers, which most people don't think of workers, but maybe making, uh, you know, arms trafficking workers and saying, like, we have to organize this so you just steal all of their drugs, maybe steal all of their guns. Um, yes, exactly. It's important to identifying them. Um, and once we can, once we can, like, on one hand, it's important to know where to strike, and on the other hand, it's important to let people know where to strike, right? So I don't know if, you know, like, I don't think it's I don't think it's helpful to think as this of the CIA as any more powerful than any other state. It's just more complicated. The CIA is exactly like the czar, is exactly like, uh, the Shah or whatever, you know, is exactly like any other monarch. It's a group of freaks who control everything, and they have their tactics. And we just have to be aware of who we're aiming at and know what tactics will fit those things. Um, so we know that they are funded by drug trafficking. We know they're funded by lots of crime, and so making that sort of those hitting hitting them at those influxes of money would be very helpful, I think. Imagine if the CIA lost $1 billion because you pushed like a shipping container of heroin into the ocean. Like, maybe that would be good. I don't know. Um, but if you can know where that stuff is, if you can get these people who are doing this kind of work for them, or have, like, sometimes this is going to be uh difficult to understand, because I think so many people think of revolution as picketing. And I don't know where they got that idea. But revolution is not fucking standing outside a the White House and being like, please, don't, uh well, with guns, I guess. Like, I don't think people are able to imagine anything about standing outside the White House and then literally like rolling up onto the Capitol building with guns and being like, okay, we're taking over or something. Like, I don't know what people think revolution is going to look like, but it's going to have to come from a lot of smaller actions. And some of those actions are going to have to start being very damaging to the state. And I specifically mean the corporate state, meaning Amazon, meaning Microsoft. Taking over Amazon web servers would be a huge boon to us. Um, but my point is that DC isn't the problem. You know, like all of those people are spineless careerists, and you can just arrest them, and they don't. You know, they're the end game. People don't know how to get from where we are now to the end game. Yank. Uh, are you from a different country? Are you from Britain? Taking over communications, taking over news networks, removing news networks, like just like crippling the CIA, the state, the deep state, the specific actual state. Is I mean that's the problem is that saying deep state makes it seem like well there's the regular state and then there's the 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 one that has more power. But it's like we're really just talking about the state and the way it works. So, but we have state media. Absolutely important to kneecap state media. Um, that is a project that no one's even trying. Uh, I'm sure there's lots of communist hackers and you know people who'd be willing to try these kinds of projects. It's just no one is telling them how. No one's telling them what's important. Um, and doing it on your own isn't going to do anything. You know, it's got to be a coordinated effort to be like, okay, we're taking out the New York Times. It's going to be ours now. We're going to have their app. We're going to have their, you know, all of their paper route. You know what I mean? uh, exactly. What if Anonymous was good and not fake? Now, the reason Anonymous was exciting for a lot of people is because it felt like, oh, well, if they can do these things, there's a lot of things that they could do that would be really helpful. I remember thinking a lot about, you know, when Anonymous was first coming up. Um, it's like, oh, well, if you can take down whole servers, maybe you should do it to, maybe you could break into servers. Maybe you could, you know, get from servers. Uh, but they don't want to do that because they're children or ops. Thank you. Villain. Villain the bat. But yes, tungsten 323. Absolutely, it needs to be a back and forth. And just like I was saying, that Lenin said, it has to be that the people who are doing labor have a back and forth with the party, you know, intelligentsia. That stuff all has to be understood as led by, you know, maybe it's organized by the people in the party, but even if those people on the ground floor of Amazon workers, of, you know, TaskRabbit workers, teachers, nurses, whoever, um, those people have to have just as much influence and sway of like, this is what I need. I need you guys to do this. We need to do this. As much as attacking the actual state. We have to build a lot more power before we start about talking about like actually damaging the CIA. You know what I mean? And this is why I think it's important that you ask it, but it's like you're thinking steps and steps ahead. This is how far behind we are. you know, we're so far behind that like we need right. It's like, well, okay, this guy is real big and strong and I am a, you know, weak 34-year-old woman. um I haven't done a push-up in, well, I guess I was doing push-ups yesterday. But do you know what I'm saying? Like how do I fight, how do I knock him out, or how do I gouge his legs, or you know what I mean? It's like, how do I kill this guy? It's like, well, you should fucking start practicing. You should start training. You should start doing a push-up. You got to start building your muscles. You got to start going to the range and learning how to shoot guns. You got to learn how to throw a knife or whatever. Like, you can't be John Wick and be like, how am I going to take down all these strong dudes? Like, the plan doesn't matter. You can't do it. If you had John Wick, if you had 100 John Wicks, maybe you could go in there and do it. But you do not. We do not. And what is important, I think, is to strengthen right now. And what that looks like, is organizing labor, educating labor. Like, every single person, if I hire a TaskRabbit right now and I say, hey, come over and do my put up monitors on my wall or whatever, that person needs to have heard that there is a political party that is trying to get them more money. That's where I want to get in next year. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of outreach I want. That's the kind of leg day, boring ass strength that I want this party to have. And if it needs to work in the framework with the political party or the Socialist Party or USA, or I don't give a shit what the name is. I don't know who has the most potential to do this. But if you can get every Uber driver to have a little tag that says, like, a little red, like, air freshener that says, PSL cab union. That's what I'm talking about. Every time you see every single worker who is on the bottom rung, who's completely being used and ground into dog shit by capital, needs to be like, hey, there's a group of people, and this is their logo, that is fighting for me, and I'm a part of it, and I support it. And if they ran a fucking candidate in my neighborhood, I would vote for them. If they told me tomorrow to go on strike, I would. That is building a party. And we're not even close. This is what I'm saying. When people ask me, like, well, what about PSL? It's like, okay, well, they have meetings and they have good opinions, but I haven't seen a single working person been like, I support the PSL. And why is that? It's because they don't do anything for them. And they have no outreach. So it's both of those things. I mean, of course. What happens first, though? Like, I don't know the order things are going to happen in. The unions we don't have, I mean, like, no, it doesn't go against it. This is what a vanguard party is. A vanguard party is an organization that organizes the labor and runs people for office and builds power. The split between the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks was not whether to have a party, or it was to be whether it was is every cab driver in the party machinery? Like, do they vote on what we're doing, right? And Lenin said no. And the Menshevik said yes. The Menshevik said, no, every single cab driver should be able to come to the meeting and have a vote on whether we're going to strike on Wednesday, or whether we're going to strike in a month, or whether it's ready to do this and this. Obviously, they didn't have cab drivers. they had factory workers. Um, and they had factory workers, and they focused on factory workers not because they were some special, you know, manly men who were able to have power. They just were in the same place. Like they were in a building and it was easy. You know what I mean? Like they were just like, oh, we all know each other and we can all talk to each other. There was way more workers who were, you know, blacksmiths and, um, you know, salesmen and, you know, there's lots of different kinds of workers in 1900, uh, jewelers and shit. But, well, and they should be. That was the whole. That was my whole point of my story time episode, is that absolutely you should be, but you can't. It doesn't matter. Like you need to be organizing in a way that if one person gets fucking murked, then it not doesn't matter. This is my problem with secrecy in the age of digital reproduction. Uh, I don't think there's enough of anybody to do anything right now. Um, what do you mean regular people? Regular people love communism. I don't know what you're saying here. Um, blankist. I don't know what you mean. Who's blank? Um, someone else said. Oh yeah, this is my point. Is that we know that we have a state that will try and infiltrate us and kill us. So what we need to do is have multiple, lots of fallbacks on, you know, what happens if we get infiltrated. What are the rules? What are the uncrossable lines? If what is cop behavior? And if you do that cop behavior, you're out. You're fucking done. Uh, I don't see how assassinations are going to help anything, to be honest. Like, not without a lot of organized power. Do you know what I mean? Oh, you're talking to that person saying that they're blankist. I don't know. That seems I mean that's just like that's the whole go for it, man. Like if you don't think you need anybody, then why aren't you doing it? And this is the thing is that yeah, propaganda the deed. Um I just never seen that work. Um I've never seen it work. Um but like I don't want to be I don't advocate for like that because I've never seen it do anything. Like I said, because the way they've structured it, tungsten, is that if you killed somebody who was working on overthrowing Cuba, or you know, overthrowing the PSL, or killing uh, a Ferguson protest or BLM protester, who would give a shit? People would just think you're a crazy person and be like, oh, well, they killed some intelligence agent guy. I'm sure that person was doing something normal and fine, and I support them, and definitely not this crazy communist. You have to have lots of people supporting you before you jump into doing things that are going to be like you just have to have a plan. It's like, okay, so you kill a CIA agent, then what? How does that spark the revolution? Like people definitely want to like be like, this will do something. It's like, well, maybe it's nice in the short term, but there's no plan there. And we have the plan. It's worked many times. And I think I think there are absolutely unique problems with organizing in the Imperial Core. One of them is the CIA. The other is you are going to have to work with the army. You're going to have to work with the military, which I don't think should be a problem. I think there's lots of people who are organizing the military already. Um, well, not organizing them, but preaching to them, right? There's a lot of proselytizing with no congregation. We need to make it a congregation. That's my whole point. Is that there needs to be people tithing, people who want to see us succeed and will support us whatever our tactics are. And I don't think there's like I don't really I'm tactic neutral. You know what I mean? Like if hundreds of people are supporting you uh and are saying hundreds of thousands of people are supporting you and saying fuck it, we want to strike. We want all Uber drivers to get paid $50 an hour. And there will be no Ubers, there will be no Lyfts, there will be no cabs for any of you motherfuckers until we get it. And then when that happens and then you get it, those people are in your pocket. Those people will support you to the end of the earth. If you go up and all of the Amazon workers are like, do that for us, and you're like, okay, let's go fucking guillotine Jeff Bezos, then they'll do it. We'll all do it. Again, there's multiple steps to get to this kind of place, but I'm just saying that work is boring and hard and requires coordination and organization of people like me who are, in the quote unquote intelligentsia, people who are just professional navel gazers who are now feeling like they have some responsibility because they just wanted to sort of talk and dick around and like be a wonk on the microphone. And now they're like, oh shit, I have a lot of people listening to me. What are we going to do? And we have to decide what we're going to do. Anyway, my computer's about to run out of battery. So, I think I'm going to go. Getting very hungry. And I want to play my synth. Keep beeping. Let me know what you want me to talk about next time. I had fun doing this. If anyone has a question before I go, please let me know. Tell people to I'd really like to. It's always fun to have somebody. I forgot to do vinyl. I lost the first one, so I feel like. All right, let me plug this in. Hope I don't break it. Oh, degenerate ACAB, you're still here. Like, what do you think? You personally. Like, am I way off base here? Do you see the PSL being able to do all the things that I was saying? Like, do you see them joining forces with the media and, like, why hasn't the PSL talked to Means TV? Means TV has 5,000 subscribers or something. 50,000. I don't know how many subscribers they have. I wasn't paying attention in the meeting. We have a lot of subscribers. We have a lot of people watching. Tons of people on the YouTubes. Like, I haven't, I don't know of any party that has reached out to any big media outlet, I mean, even small media outlet, and being like, hey, we want to do YouTube videos. We want to do outreach to people, to normal ass people, public access. I don't, no plan to do anything, but Richard Wolff, isn't he the like the Soviet Union with state capitalism? That doesn't seem like a PSL kind of thing. I could be wrong. Is it great? I'm sorry if I'm being mean. I want to reiterate that like the only the only party that I've seen who even had like good opinions was PSL, and I've like I said, I've been trying to, work with them for years. So don't take this personally. Something's feedbacking really bad. Hang on. That's nice of them. Face to face on the street. Can anybody hear that? That's so wild. What about like going to work, like people's workplaces? You know what I mean? I was thinking it would be funny, or not. I mean, it would be funny, but it'd be interesting. No, no, no. It's very quiet. Sorry, I'm trying to remember how to do this. Okay. But newspaper people don't read newspapers. I mean, like, you know, we're talking about mass media here. What's red? Someone said. I'm just saying, if people haven't heard of our parties, and we've been around for 15 years, 20 years, 50 years, or like, you know, the Communist Party. Like, I didn't change the names. This must just be random for you. um, it's random for me. Can I change that? Um, we're not doing our jobs, right? We're not giving working people an option to say like, oh, you could be doing this. It's not. I don't know who to blame at this point, but my point is that like, look, like, absolutely do 100% like work with the PSL. Like, it's awesome to work with the PSL. But I just want to make something bigger, and whether that's like working with an already established one, uh, but it's not just about like creating leftist entertainment. And that's the problem, is that I think a lot of people are focused on like, let's make this sort of liberal idea of like, uh, if we just have like good messages in our media, idea that it's like, well, if we just have the right ideas, we'll be able to, you know, um, move people in the direction. They can just watch movies that aren't fascist or whatever. Um, and that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, they need to know specifically, um, what the ideology we're talking about is, for one, and then specifically what we're going to do about it. Um, I mean, I have look, like, there's nothing wrong with, making fun entertainment that happens to be communist. I have a video game show, um, where I just sometimes bullshit and say nothing of interest or of import or political cachet at all. uh, it's very difficult to make, dispatches, and what it would require is people actually having some kind of organization that says, here's what we're trying to get across and here's what we're trying to do. And I went with, we went to meet with this union and this, labor organization, and they need this, and we need to tell our viewers this. It'd be like a whole thing. It would be very difficult. I'm not saying it would be easy, but it's possible, and we can do it if we work together. Um, but they're just that's what I mean by party uh, machinery now. Um, a thing that we just don't have. Not to depress anybody, but to like demand it of your of the people you look up to. Um, whoever that may be, whether it's fucking Chapo or me or Vash. If they're not, at this point, it's like, look, some people are going to just be entertainment, and that's fine. If they want to be entertainment, they want to just be like holding some marketplace of ideas. Like, what do you think about Jimmy Dore or whoever? What do you care about the Squad or whatever? Like, if you want to take part in that sort of wonk jack off bullshit, fine. Who gives a shit? I don't care. Have fun. But it's not building politics. It's not building power. If you're not building power, then don't pretend like you are. That's all I'm saying. Hang on. This is a new module. I don't know what I'm doing. Trigger. And then Voct. So that's all I was saying about left media. Sorry I froze, by the way. Hang on. That's an interesting question. I don't think so. Like I don't know if it's not like people don't want to have power. Like a lot of people just don't know what to do. Um what do you mean? I mean like this that like I think that bigger wig I think that's kind of unhelpful, like rhetoric. I mean, I think you're right. Like it's true that we don't have any power, and so, but at the same time, I don't want to give off the impression that like there is no the left in America, and so there's like a certain. I feel like some people say that meaning like that's true, but like I there also is actual people trying to do stuff, and like there's people in the PSL and the DSA who are actually like organizing a little. They're very weak, you know, but like it's almost like that sort of like don't make fun of a fat person at the gym. Do you know what I mean? Like it'd be like saying like what exercise, you know, just because you fucking like take a walk around the block. Like for some people that might be it, like that person is trying to better themselves. And so I feel a little bit shaky when people are like, what do you mean? What do you mean the left? It's like, well, the very nascent American left. Does that make sense? Like, not to scold or anything, but like the point is that well, that sounded good already. This is the new one, the Surface I got. I think it sounded pretty cool. Can you still hear it if I talk? sort of like rings. Rings is a sort of, it's kind of a physical. There's 3 buttons at the top of this module, and I just have no idea what they do because I haven't read the manual. What I really like about this module is that no matter where you put it, no matter where, like, you can completely change the sounds, but it's always the same note. Well, not whatever that is. There's a certain amount of voice. You can change how many voices it is. You can make a lot of crazy sounds with this thing. Let's put it through a filter. All right. So that's that's just the new voice that I put in today. Let me finish answering that question, then I have to go because I gotta eat. I feel like it's not that there's some sort of like a lot of socialists tendencies are like anti, and I mean this is partially it. There's a lot of people, myself included, like grew up feeling like authoritarianism was like the end all be all of evil, and we're really afraid of actually doing anything. But I think a lot of it is more just people don't know what to do. They don't know what the options are. It's not like people are so imbued with the propaganda of, well, there's, I think a lot of people think what's going to happen is what the communists want is that like a bunch of people are going to show up with guns and demand that everybody fall in line for the glorious new American state, and they're just gonna, I don't know, be oppressed, or like they're gonna always be like, people have really internalized like anti-Soviet Union propaganda, and then there's sort of these sort of like online communists who are like, actually that online, that like made up propaganda of against the Soviet Union, that's good actually, and that's cringe. You know what I mean? Like people are like, yes, I actually want Daddy Stalin to, you know, kill my father for hoarding grain, and I want to be surveilled 24/7. Like that's not real. They're like, it's kind of cope. You know what I mean? Like they're they're just like, actually everything you've said bad is actually good, just because I'm a communist. And like, it's not, the argument about that stuff is, did that ever happen, which no one ever really wants to have because it's boring and no one wants to sift through pages and pages of history and like unclassified CIA documents. But the real question is that what you want now? And the answer for every single communist I know is no. Like we don't want to just do all of the bad things that that the Soviet Union did if they did whatever they did. Who gives a shit? But I don't think that people are like against organizing because they are afraid of like tankies. Like I really don't even think that people do that. Yeah, exactly. Like people are the what the whole conversation becomes like, do we like this made up anti-communist propaganda mythos of communism or do we not? And like both are wrong because it's not real. um People were, all of these kids with, anime communist avatars or whatever, like they weren't there, they don't know, they haven't done the reading, they haven't like sift through pages and pages of like Comintern, uh Politburo like shit in Russian. Like we don't really have, nobody really has any great idea of like what they did. And the people who like have really done the research are generally laughed out of the room by people, and so that shit doesn't matter. I don't care. What I'm saying is that I don't think people are like against organizing because of tankies or whatever. I think they just don't know what to do. Um like I don't, yeah, like Matt says, those arguments exist to be had. The point of them is to argue and to win and score likes and shit on Twitter and Facebook. It's all individualist dogpiling. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. But I mean, at the same time, I do sometimes get like anti-propaganda is anti-communist propaganda is still anti-communist propaganda, and I still get annoyed when I see it, and I still want to be like, well, no, well, there's really no evidence that the Holodomor happened. Like, I don't think that there was. I've done a lot of research on it, and I don't think it happened. But if it did, it would be bad. Like, so what's the point of the argument? But the point of their argument is communism, and so communism is bad, right? Um, and so I think that, you know, you have to stop and be like, okay, even if that happened, communism wouldn't be bad, but it didn't happen, and communism isn't bad. Communism is good, actually. So it is a really good trip up. It trips people up, and it's. I think there are lots of people who want to are just sort of being pedants and saying like, no, I've read history that shows that there's really no evidence of that, and there's Nazi propaganda that said it did. Um, but whatever, like it doesn't matter. Like if I was shown like real hard evidence that like Stalin was like, I want to kill all the Ukrainians or whatever, um, I'd be like, oh shit, well, he's bad, I guess. I guess he did a really bad thing. That doesn't mean communism was bad, and it doesn't mean they shouldn't have taken over from the Tsar. Like, the Soviet Union was good. The Soviet Union was a communist project, and they tried something really good. And the same way, we had the same fucking conversation about the Chaz. It's like, well, are they really taking over? Are they really doing anything? It's like, well, it's preferable to having no cops, right? Like, it's preferable to having cops, right? Like, it's a cool thing that they did. Sure, whatever. I don't give a shit. It's not going to do anything in the long run, but communism did do. It brought millions of people out of poverty. Uh, it housed millions of people. Um. Anyway, so my only point is, I don't think people are afraid of organizing because of some scared idea about Leninism. I think most people are just like people who got radicalized with Bernie Sanders and Chapo in 2016. And most people who have any interest are those people who are like probably younger, a lot younger than me, and are like, hey, I want to be involved in something. I want to do something to help. And they just need people to tell them what to do, because they don't know. Does that answer your question? That's what I think. Okay, I really am going to go now. Thanks so much for sticking around, even though I had some trouble. My computer died. Um, I'll be around. Please tweet at me things you want me to talk about. I guess. I don't know. At this point, I feel like I get on people to ask me questions, and that's always nice. Um, please listen to my. You're welcome. Please listen to my beep beep story time about the GPI deal pill. Uh, it was really hard. Thanks, Degenerate. um, I love a weed badge. I don't know what that means. Oh, that weed badge. I would love to have that weed badge. I'd love to grow weed. Um, but I'm not CIA. I don't have any plants. Do you see my new carpet? My mom got it for me for Christmas. It's like the Black Lodge. Okay, I'm gonna go. Uh, thanks so much. I will see you soon. Bye.